Here are the top stories for today, June 30, 2020. Eastern Visayas breaches the 500 mark as authorities report 25 new cases of COVID-19. Quiapo Church is placed under lockdown after a priest tests positive for the coronavirus disease. Traditional jeeps resume operations in low-risk provinces and regions. And Malacanang hails police and military troops for neutralizing 4 members of the Dawla Islamiyah terror group in Parañaque. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Let's go straight to Visayas, where there is a sudden spike of confirmed cases since the start of June. Several local governments have decided to temporarily stop accepting returning residents to decongest its quarantine centers and focus its efforts on containing the spread of the virus. The Department of the Interior and local government officially suspended the travel of LSIs to the region until July 9 upon approval of the National Task Force Against COVID-19. In Eastern Visayas, 25 new COVID-19 infections are reported, bringing its total number of cases to 524. DOH Eastern Visayas says 17 new cases are from Leyte, 5 in southern Leyte, 2 in Samar, and 1 in northern Samar. The patients are currently confined in their respective isolation facilities. The DOH says majority of the confirmed cases in the region are returning residents, including locally stranded individuals and repatriated overseas Filipino workers. Cebu City emerged as the country's new epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak. According to the Department of Health, Cebu City has a total of 4,562 total cases as of June 28, 2020, of which 3,892 are active cases, 592 recoveries, and 78 deaths. The Armed Forces of the Philippines earlier sent a military medical team to Cebu City to help in ongoing efforts to contain the COVID-19 spike in the city. More news and ongoing efforts in Cebu City from Janice Cabe.
Interior Secretary Eduardo Años said authorities will now enforce stricter measures in Cebu City by arresting all ECQ violators immediately. PNP Chief General Archie Gamboa said the PNP will immediately effect arrests on violators even without warning to stop the spread of the virus. With the rampant cases of protocol violators in Cebu City, Secretary Años said home quarantine will no longer be allowed. Those who are tested positive for COVID-19 will be automatically sent to an isolation facility for proper treatment. Años cited the need for stricter implementation of checkpoints and health protocols as many residents do not wear face masks and do not observe physical distancing. Meanwhile, Environment Secretary Roy Cimatu on Tuesday said the implementation of the enhanced community quarantine in Cebu City should continue due to the rise in confirmed cases of COVID-19. Cimatu also recommended to the national government the improvement of health facilities in Cebu City, including the setting up of additional hospital rooms and conversion of large facilities into quarantine sites. And barangay officials are in hot water over the alleged involvement in the Sinulog street dance and procession in the city. Año on Monday said he will issue a show cause order against them and even tasked the CIDG to conduct an investigation on the matter. Año reiterates that mass gathering is prohibited, especially in high-risk areas, as this places the lives of the people at risk. The barangay officials denied any involvement in the said mass gathering, saying that they did not authorize the conduct of the street dance and Sinulog procession. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The COVID-19 Molecular Diagnostic Laboratory in UP Los Baños is now a certified COVID-19 testing center. The DOH-RITM gave the laboratory the certification needed so that it can now perform its duties as an independent testing center. UPLB Vice Chancellor for Research and Extension Rex Demafeli said the laboratory will begin accepting samples on July 6. The CMDL is located at the UPLB Agricultural and Life Sciences Complex. It will serve as a subnational testing center for Laguna and neighboring provinces. The Department of Education is in the process of procuring internet connection for 7,000 public schools. This as the government seeks to implement distance learning due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In his report to Congress on Monday, President Duterte said 700 billion pesos is allocated for the project, which will be completed in 10 months. Duterte said DepEd will allow teachers to bring home devices purchased by the department for use in distance learning. DepEd earlier said it would employ online and modular learning to ensure delivery of lessons for the upcoming school year set on August 24. President Duterte earlier said he was eyeing to procure transistor radios to help deliver lessons to poor students in far-flung areas. A search and rescue operation is ongoing for 14 Filipino fishermen who went missing after their boat collided with a Hong Kong-flagged cargo vessel. Report says that the collision between MV Vienna Wood and the fishing vessel Liberty 5 took place around 1 a.m. Sunday in rough waters off Tayamaan, Mamnurao, Occidental, Mindoro. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said the matter will be resolved under the country's admiralty laws. Quiapo Church is still in lockdown after a priest from Mindanao was tested positive for coronavirus disease 2019. The said priest was stranded in Manila and stayed at the minor basilica after the government implemented the enhanced community quarantine in Luzon last March. As precautionary measure, Reverend Father Douglas Badong of St. John the Baptist Parish said they decided to close the church to prevent the spread of the disease. The Quiapo Church is being disinfected and all the staff are under quarantine. Meanwhile, 2 more churches in Metro Manila have also been placed on lockdown after some personnel, including a priest, tested positive for COVID-19. The Santissima Trinidad Parish in Malate, Manila is temporarily closed after the parish priest and another staff have tested positive for the disease. The Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal Parish in Quezon City is also closed for 2 weeks after one of its parish office staff tested positive for COVID-19. Still to come, traditional jeeps resume operations in low-risk provinces and regions. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Tandaan ang tamang paraan ng paghuhugas at paglilinis ng kamay upang makaiwas sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Basain ng tubig ang mga kamay at sabunin. Unang sabunin ang mga palad at ang likod ng mga kamay. Kuskusin na maigi ang pagitan ng mga daliri at maging ang mga kuko. Isunod ang pagitan ng mga hinlalaki at kuskusin ng paikot ang mga dulo ng mga daliri sa magkabilang palad. Banlawang mabuti ang mga kamay sa malinis na tubig at patuyuin ang mga kamay gamit ang single-use towel o air dryer. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Kakagaling ko lang ng grocery. Siyempre, hindi ko hahayaan na pumasok ang COVID-19 sa bahay at mapahamak ang pamilya ko. Kaya iiwan ko ang sapatos ko sa labas. At ngayon, maghuhugas ako ng kamay ng 20 seconds. O yan, wala na ang virus. Tandaan, buhay ng pamilya natin na nakasalalay. Let's heal as one.
Alam niyo ba na pumapasok ang COVID-19 sa ating katawan sa pamamagitan ng mata, ilong at bibig? Kaya lagi kaming conscious dito sa bahay kapag umuubo kami. Lagi kami naghuhugas ng kamay in 20 seconds. Pag lumalabas kami, lagi namin suot ang mask. Lagi lang natin tatandaan mga mamshi. Buhay ng pamilya natin ang nakasalalay dito. Let's heal as one.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. Traditional public utility jeepneys have resumed operations in some provinces and regions. These are in areas where public utility buses and vehicles are not enough to service commuters. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said traditional jeepneys are already operating in Baguio and Bohol, Bulacan, Pampanga, Cagayan de Oro, South Cotabato, and Siquijor. Jeepneys are also serving commuters in Ilocos, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Central Visayas, Northern Mindanao, Davao Region, Caraga Region, and Cordillera Administrative Region. However, jeepneys are still prohibited from plying the streets of Metro Manila.
At sigurado rin po ako na ating pribadong sektor ay gagawa rin ng mga hakbang para makapagbigay din po ng mga gadgets sa ating mga.
The Department of Health redeploys doctors to the barrios in Cebu City. It also clarifies the case doubling time and fatality rate in the country. More on these from Rom Dulfo.
The Department of Health is set to redeploy doctors serving under the Doctors to the Barrios program in Cebu City to help curb the increasing number of COVID-19 infections in the area. The doctors will undergo a pre-deployment orientation, round-trip transportation, statutory allowances, actual hazard duty pay, accommodations, and other incidental expenses during their deployment period in Cebu City, including post-deployment quarantine. The Interagency Task Force has placed Cebu City anew under Enhanced Community Quarantine or ECQ due to the widespread community transmission in majority of its barangays. Meanwhile, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeres says factors like healthcare system capacity and economic status are important in comparison between countries in terms of the COVID-19 case doubling time. She said the continued efforts of the DOH on the improvement of the healthcare system capacity, testing capacity, and contact tracing would help the country achieve a better status.
Bagaman mas mataas ang ating case fatality rate na 3.55% kumpara sa kabuuang 2.9% para sa lahat ng bansa sa ASEAN, patuloy po ang pagbaba nito at mas mababa po ang ating case fatality rate kumpara po sa buong mundo na 5.15%.
And as the DOH commemorates the National Organ and Blood Awareness Week, organ donors are recognized as modern-day heroes. Yusek Vergeres discussed the importance of organ donation and how Filipinos can contribute to the project.
Maaaring dumating ang panahon na hindi nagagana ng maayos ang ilang parte ng ating katawan at kakailanganin na pong palitan ito ng mas malusog na organ.
For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Jeepney drivers in Cotabato City undergo COVID-19 testing, and a town in Leyte lifts its preemptive lockdown after residents tested negative from the dreaded disease.
The local government units are still on guard to prevent the spread of COVID-19. In Cotabato City, jeepney drivers are tested for COVID-19 and none of them, thankfully, are negative. City Health Officer Dr. Mayaser Patadon said this development shows that the city government has been effective so far in implementing health protocols against the disease. Next in line for COVID-19 tests are some 1,000 market employees and vendors who are considered among the highly exposed sector in the city. The local government says it will discontinue the tests if all will come out negative. In Kidapawan City, the North Cotabato Provincial Interagency Task Force on Coronavirus Disease 2019 said no local transmission has occurred yet as of Monday, June 29. The local IATF issued a statement after 7 family members of an 84-year-old male COVID-19 patient from Barangay Sudapin here all tested negative from the recent swab test conducted by provincial health workers. The patient was confirmed to have been infected by the virus on June 24. The patient has no history of travel to other places except when he was brought to SPMC to seek further medication for his respiratory illness. In Leyte, the local government of Cananga has lifted a preemptive lockdown enforced in its sub-village where a resident tested positive for COVID-19. Mayor Manuel Vicente Torres said the contact tracing on the patient has been completed and 7 out of 8 identified close contacts tested negative of the virus. To date, Kananga has confirmed 4 COVID-19 patients, including 3 active cases and 1 death. Majority of the confirmed cases in the region are said to be returning residents, including locally stranded individuals and repatriated OFWs. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Crismundo.
A lawmaker on Monday urged the Department of Education to prepare for the reintroduction of good manners and right conduct and values education in schools. Cagayan de Oro City Representative Rufus Rodriguez made the statement after President Rodrigo Duterte signed Republic Act 11476, adding GMRC and values education as core subjects in the K-12 curriculum. Rodriguez said while it is no longer possible to implement the law this school year, he stressed the need to reintroduce these subjects as soon as possible. He expressed hope for a dynamic implementation of the law, which includes collaborative learning activities, community immersion activities, and other self-actualization tools for students. Malacanang sees no need to import additional rice because the Philippines has sufficient supply. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque made this remark after the Philippine International Trading Corporation abandoned the plan of importing 300,000 metric tons of rice. Earlier, the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases authorized the PITC to import 300,000 metric tons of rice for the lean months of July and August. However, the plan was withdrawn after farmer groups questioned the legality of the purchase, saying there is no declaration of a rice shortage. Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez earlier said the initial decision for the government-to-government importation plan was a result of the potential threat to maintaining a good buffer supply of rice for the country. This after Vietnam initially banned shipping out rice to secure the staple for its own market, though it has eventually been lifted. Up next, Malacanang hails police and military troops for neutralizing 4 members of the Dawla Islamiyah terror group in Parañaque. And the NTC wants ABS-CBN to stop the operations of its TV Plus service. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Alamin ang tamang paraan ng pag-ubo upang mapigilan ang paglaganap ng coronavirus disease 2019. Ugaliing magdala ng panyo o tissue. Kung uubo o babahing, takpan ang buong ilong at bibig gamit ang panyo o tissue. Kung walang dalang panyo o tissue, maaaring gamitin ang braso na pantakip. Kung nakararamdam na kailangan umubo o bumahing, agad na dumistansya sa mga tao sa paligid. Huwag dumura kung saan-saan, gumamit ng tissue at itapon sa basurahan. Ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at paggamit ng alcohol o hand sanitizer upang mamatay ang mikrobyo. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Mga mommies, pagdating sa COVID-19, dapat hindi tayo kampante. Bagamat hindi nakikita ang sakit na ito ay nakamamatay. At hanggang ngayon wala pa rin lunas. Kaya protektahan natin ang ating pamilya. Laging maghugas ng kamay, huwag hahawakan ng mukha, at manatili sa bahay para makaiwas sa sakit na ito. Tandaan, buhay ng pamilya natin ang nakasalalay dito. Let's heal this one.
Hi Caps! Kamusta?
Well, ito dahil sa COVID-19, medyo stress.
Okay lang yan Caps. Napagdaanan ko din yan.
Ano kaya pwede natin gawin, no?
Kung nararamdaman mo na gulong-gulo ka na sa mga naririnig mo, sa mga nababasa mo, mag-pause ka muna, saka ka huminga ng malalim.
Buti na lang tumawag ka. Iba talaga pag may nangangamusta.
A strong body starts with a strong mind.
Tama. Let's heal as one.
Malacanang on Monday hailed the police and military for the successful law enforcement operation against 4 alleged members of the Dawla Islamiyah terror group in Parañaque City. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque emphasized the importance of having police and military ready to face terrorist attacks and other threats to national security. The Armed Forces of the Philippines said the neutralization of the 4 terrorists highlights the need for President Rodrigo Duterte to sign and implement the proposed Anti-Terrorism Act. Last Friday, the 4 alleged ISIS members were killed in a shootout in Barangay Don Bosco, Parañaque City. Parañaque police said Ben Saudi Sali and his wife Merhana Abdul Sawari fired on law enforcers as they were to be served in a search warrant in their residence. The couple were killed along with their companions Rasmin Hussein and Jamal Kalmin. The group allegedly has connections with Dawla Islamiyah bomb expert Mundi Sawadjaan, one of the masterminds behind the twin bombing at the Holo Cathedral in Sulu in January 2019. A youth organization in Agusan del Norte has voiced support to the passage of the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020, saying it will safeguard young people from the influence and recruitment of a communist New People's Army. Engineer Christian Kier Betito, president of the Propelling Our Inherited Nation Through Our Youth Incorporated, or POINTY, noted that the NPA targets the young people because they are the most vulnerable sector in society. POINTY has called on President Rodrigo Duterte to sign the anti-terrorism bill to end the atrocities of the NPA and prevent the spread of their ideology. Karen Rosales, president of Youth for Peace in the Agusan del Norte towns of Las Nieves, said it was regrettable to see the NPA has yet to be held accountable for recruiting the youth to fight the government. Government officials in the Caraga region, including the leaders of indigenous peoples, earlier called on President Duterte to sign the measure into law. On to some public service announcements. The Commission on Elections has extended the suspension of voter registration until August 31st, 2020. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez said the suspension was previously set only until June 30, but was extended for 2 more months in view of the still rising number of COVID-19 cases nationwide. Meanwhile, the Philippine Army's 1st Infantry Division is hiring journalists to be enlisted into the regular force of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP. The military journalists will serve as public affairs specialists tasked to produce print and broadcast materials to support the division's strategic communications. Applicants who pass the special mode of enlistment would be given a rank of private and will receive an initial monthly gross salary of over 37,000 pesos. Deadline for submission of requirements is on Thursday, July 2nd. Applicants must submit an electronic copy of their requirements through email. For additional queries, the applicant may contact the Division Public Affairs Office. Meanwhile, the Civil Service Commission on Monday reminded government officials and employees to file their statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth after the Commission extended its filing anew to August 31. SAL-Ns may be filed either through electronic files or physical files. Online oath-taking of the SAL-Ns shall also be allowed between the administering officer and the declarant through an electronic meeting using communication technology. The new extension and other guidelines are in compliance with the Interagency Task Force amid the spread of COVID-19. The National Telecommunications Commission wants ABS-CBN to stop its digital television service alongside the expiration of its legislative franchise last May 4. NTC Commissioner Galamiel Cordoba on Monday said the continued operations of ABS-CBN TV Plus is a violation of its cease and desist order against the network. He said ABS-CBN's airing of digital TV on Channel 43 is part of the order because the franchise that they used for that is ABS-CBN's franchise. For his part, ABS-CBN President and CEO Carlo Catigbak pointed out that the NTC has permitted other broadcast companies whose franchises have expired to continue their operations until their application is either approved or denied. He explained that the ABS-CBN is using the franchise of Ankara Broadcasting Network for its operations through a block time arrangement. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte has renewed the franchise of Zamboanga-based Golden Broadcast Professional Incorporated for another 25 years. Duterte signed Republic Act 11477 on June 25, allowing GBPI to operate until 2025. Among its mandates is for the GBPI to provide free and adequate public service time on important public issues and relay important public announcements and warnings. The GBPI must also submit an annual report to Congress on its compliance on or before April 30 every year during the term of its franchise. The World Health Organization warns that the COVID-19 pandemic is far from over as the world remains divided despite joint efforts to stop its spread. Chris Mundo has the story.
The World Health Organization chief warns that the COVID-19 crisis is far from over and the worst has yet to come, with 10 million cases now. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that countries must address the problems the organization has identified or there will be worse ones to face. He pointed out that despite global efforts to stop COVID-19, concerning signs of stigma, misinformation, and the politicization of the pandemic has worsened it. Tedros said a lack of national unity and lack of global solidarity in a divided world is actually helping the virus to spread. Meanwhile, a potential coronavirus vaccine called Ad5-nCoV has been granted limited approval in China. The vaccine was jointly produced by Chinese biopharmaceutical firm CanSino Biologics Incorporated and Institute of Biotechnology under the Academy of Military Medical Sciences. The drug has received approval for a year and can be used only on essential services workers such as the military. Back in Manila, South Korea has provided over $5 million worth of humanitarian assistance to the Philippines to help contain the deadly disease. Korean Ambassador Han Dong-man said as a gesture of magnanimity for its help in the Korean War, South Korea has been extending assistance to the Philippines the past 7 decades. Through the Economic Development Cooperation Fund implemented by Korea Exim Bank, Han said the Korean government will also provide the Philippines with up to $50 million to help the country detect and respond to public health challenges caused by the pandemic. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Mundo.
People are finding ways to make a living to survive the COVID-19 pandemic. In Manila, a new graduate is offering tutorial classes to children in exchange for groceries or food. 25-year-old Eileen Bursho from Davao del Sur is a new graduate of early childhood education at the Philippine Normal University in Manila. She is offering online tutorial classes for children aged 3 through 8 in exchange for anything that will make her get through the pandemic. Eileen had high hopes that she would soon realize her dream of becoming a teacher until the pandemic happened. Being a scholar and a self-supporting student, she thought of bartering her skills for food. She offered her teaching service in a Facebook barter group, and soon enough, private messages started coming in. Eileen tells all those who are having a difficult time getting jobs like her that it only takes grit and determination to pull through in these trying times. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Eastern Visayas breaches the 500 mark as authorities report 25 new cases of COVID-19. Quiapo Church is placed under lockdown after a priest tests positive for the coronavirus disease. Traditional jeeps resume operations in low-risk provinces and regions. And Malacanang hails police and military troops for neutralizing 4 members of the Dawla Islamiyah terror group in Parañaque. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, check our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day and stay safe, everyone.